Good evening, everyone. We'll just let any other people filter in that are just joining now. But thank you very much for joining this evening's webinar. I'm personally extremely excited. I'm really, really lucky to be joined by Charlotte. I'll obviously let Charlotte introduce herself shortly. But yeah, just for now, I'll let everyone else filter in because I know how busy it can be getting in after school, whatever you've been up to today, parents as well, after work. But yeah, any kind of questions throughout, feel free to just pop them in the chat box. My colleague Gemma will be monitoring it throughout. So anything you need answered, you'll be able to get that answered hopefully pretty swiftly. And if there's any kind of questions for the end, we can answer them briefly. But we do have quite a lot of cool things to be getting through. So obviously don't want to spend too long on that today. Right, I'm gonna give it one more minute and then get into it. But what potentially we could, I'm trying to think of a good question to start things off, Charlotte. What would you say? What's something we can get everyone thinking about just to kick things off?
A question for people to think about.
Yeah, to stimulate their minds ahead of this
Okay.
insightful session.
What is one thing that you've always wondered about music or the music industry, or something that could be a misconception as well? So something you've heard. It could be that the music industry is really scary, or you're not sure how music is made, anything like that. Any question that you think, oh, I really want to know that. Um, yeah, I think that's a broad one that we could start with, maybe.
Perfect. I'm just double checking. Charlotte, can you confirm with me you can see my screen?
I can, yeah, all
Yeah.
good.
Cool. Right, let's get into it then. Um,
Fab.
so can you see this picture of me in the podcast studio? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, just kind of a little bit about me today, guys. I'm work at Pathway CTM. I will get into a bit more detail. I'm sure most of you will be aware of kind of the work that we do here at Pathway, but that's just a little picture of me at the podcast studio. A bit later on, I'll share the link to the podcast we actually recorded with Charlotte and Alex from Sony, and you guys can get into that after. But yeah, a bit about me. I'm one of the delivery managers here, so running these events like this, working with multiple different employers to kind of help inspire you guys and hopefully make you feel empowered to make decisions for your next steps after whatever it is you're up to, whether that's finishing year 11 or finishing year 13, or if you've left school in a gap year looking to figure out what it is you want to do. So in terms of our vision and what Pathway is all about, we have we have a three-pronged approach to how we kind of think about this in our day-to-day work. And it's kind of inspire, inform, and support. So there's kind of many different ways in how we do this, and I'll look into a bit more detail, go into a bit more detail, sorry, about that shortly. But we really are fundamentally here for you guys, and everything we do is working for you guys to hopefully inspire you, and hopefully you'll be able to feel way more informed, especially after this session, for something that kind of an industry, sorry, that has a lot of myths around it, and hopefully we can bust quite a lot of them today. So yeah, hopefully this might be the session that kickstarts your career in the music and creative industries. So in just terms of quick sort of a whistle stop tour in terms of the employer profiles and all the events that we do. So obviously this is one of the events, you've joined it, you kind of know what it's about, but we do obviously offer these with other employers too. There's a QR code which will take you to the events page if you're interested, parents, teachers, anyone else involved in the call today, if you'd like to look into that too. But that's kind of the employer profile side of things. We obviously have access to, we have a teacher zone as well on our website. And we have a parents area as well. So there's something for everyone. But that's kind of what it would look like when you open up the employer profile page. So that's the Sony Music page. And then if you kind of scroll down, you'll be able to see all the events and everything else that we've going on. And you can see that for all of the other employers that we work with too. But that's just kind of to show you what it looks like on a desktop or laptop, sorry. And then we also have our employability program, which is something I always like to highlight when I do virtual events, because I think it's really something that can, really help you think about your next steps wherever you're at, even if you've already left school or you're only in year 10, thinking about what even is a career, what's a job, what am I even thinking about here. I don't even know, because I know that for myself that's something that I wish I would have had access to. So basically it's for students to complete in their own time. You don't have to be a student, you can be a school leaver, and kind of just in your gap year or left school a couple of years ago, even at university. It's open to everyone. Parents can feel free to do it too. I'm sure you probably won't need it. But yeah, it's all about kind of building those key employability skills that we always talk about, and the kind of something that I'm really passionate about, in terms of those transferable skills, thinking about assessment centers and interviews, because that's something which kind of you only know about until you know about them. So that's kind of, we want to make people feel way more informed, from not just having to have gone to these events and all these kind of things, but just like it should just be general knowledge to be prepared and ready to understand what an application process looks like, regardless of where you're applying to. And obviously, after you complete this employability module, it's 4 modules, kind of broken down in the same ways as the 4 bullet points here. You get a certificate after, which is fantastic. So yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a certificate? Right, quickly, the mentoring. This is also probably my number one favorite part, just above the employability program. This is basically for anyone. You're free to access it. You get to speak with myself or one of the team. We'll take you through one-to-one, tailored to you, whatever you need. It can be 1 call, it can be 5, depending on your needs. And we basically just help you feel help you feel that you can put your best foot forward, ready for any application that you do make, whether that's an apprenticeship, whether that's whatever next step you want to take. We want to make you feel empowered to know kind of what's in front of you next. So yeah, if you are really interested in that, feel free to email me after this session, throughout the week, and we can kind of provide you with some more detail on that. Just conscious of time, and I really want to share with you the amazing content Charlotte's got for us today. But yeah, please do reach out for the mentoring. It is a really amazing offering, and it's something which you're not going to find anywhere else. Yeah, and this is what I mentioned earlier, the podcast that we did, really good listen. I'm not just saying that because I'm in it. It's really insightful. Obviously, Charlotte, which you'll learn more about on the session today, is one of the guests. And then we also had Alex there as well, really cool guy, one of the commercial analysts. Basically, Charlotte can maybe tell you a little bit more about what that means, because I'm not best placed, but you can find out exactly what that means if you listen in, and there's some amazing insights on the podcast. So I really would advise you to kind of go after this session and have a little look into that. So yeah, I'll pass on to Charlotte now.
Great. Thank you very much, Elijah. And thank you all for joining. A big warm welcome. We have got some exciting content to get through today. So this is our first webinar of 3 with Pathway CTM. So this one is all about your backstage pass to Sony Music. So you're going to be learning about what a record label is, what Sony Music actually is and what it does. And then, yeah, we'll just cover off some of the key basics you need to know about a record label. So, um, within, I guess, a label setting, for me, I am a recruiter, so I am best placed to talk about the music business. So, I don't have advice or support when it comes to being an artist, and that's important to outline from the outset. Is this is all about careers in the music industry rather than becoming a music artist yourself. If you want to work in the music industry at some point, then this is a great place to learn all about that. So, if you could go to the next slide, Elijah, we've got a little quiz to start things off. So, this is called Dingbats, and this is a list of, I'll give you a clue, it's all Sony Music artists. So these pictures make up artists' names. So you might not get all of them, but try and guess as many as you can. And then we'll go through the answers at the end. You might want to take a picture because it could take a little while to work them out. But I'll give you a couple of minutes to take a look through and see if you know any of the artists that are on here with the clues. And I want to know what your score is at the end, so you can let me know in the chat um, when we've gone through the answers. Elijah, do you think you know any of these? Don't say them out loud.
There's one I think I might know. I definitely haven't seen the answers either, so I couldn't tell you. But there were when I was looking at it first, I was like, wow, these are actually extremely hard. I think number
Okay.
seven's actually quite a good one to start with to kind of get your thoughts going. I think it's quite a nice
Hmm.
one. So instead of a
And I
little bit of
think
a hint.
number three as well. If you just say what you see, and then the answer will come to you.
And
So,
10.
and 10, yeah, definitely. I imagine some of the artists you might be too young for, so please don't worry about that. But if you don't know the artists at the end, you can go away after today and take a look um, at some of their music. So we'll move on for now. If you haven't, take a picture now if you haven't already, and then yeah, we'll go through the answers at the end. Thanks, Elijah. So this is me. My name is Charlotte. So I am the Junior Talent Acquisition Manager at Sony Music UK. I've been at Sony now for 6 years, so a long time in one team, and I kind of joined the team a while ago. Well, 6 years ago actually, as a coordinator, and since then have kind of developed and worked my way through into a junior manager position, and have built so many amazing relationships and filled lots of different jobs across the business. That's UK and internationally as well. My background, so when I was at school, I loved music. I didn't play instruments. I did a bit of DJing, and I just knew that I wanted to be involved in music somehow, but I have no idea how to do that. I just knew I could feel it inside, and I decided to pursue a course at university when I left college in music production, because I thought that would be a fantastic way to get into music, start working in production, start making it, start working with artists, and had a brilliant time at university, and ended up working in a recording studio for a little bit. And then I worked in a recruitment agency after that kind of music production job that I had out of uni. Um, and I mean, the reason for that, I was living in London, and it's kind of just something I fell into, to be honest. So I worked in recruitment for a couple of years, and then I realised that that was not my calling. I wanted to be in the music industry somehow. So I decided to do everything I could in my power to get into the music business. Again, wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do, but was very lucky that a role came up at Sony Music where I could combine my skills in music and also recruitment as well. So here I am today, still doing recruitment, and I do recruit a lot of our early careers programs here in the UK. So we have got two programs at Sony Music. One is like the wider internship program that goes live for applications like in the summertime. So um, I think it's around July, August time, we open our applications and we have lots of different job opportunities across the business. And then I also recruit for what's called an A&R Academy. That's slightly different. A&R is basically artists and repertoire, and they're the people that sign and develop the artists. So there is an early careers program for just doing that job as well, which is great fun. And a big passion of mine is working with entry-level talent, sharing the information about the music industry and helping people find their dream job. Because I was in that position years ago where I didn't know a lot about music, but I knew I wanted to work in music. Um, and I feel like it's my duty to pass that message on to people that still also don't have much of an idea about what music actually is, or the music industry, let's say, actually entails, and what kind of jobs you can do. So in this webinar, we're going to be talking about the record label setup. So if you can go to the next slide, please, Elijah. Um, I want to talk to you first of all about who are we? Who is Sony Music? So we are a major record label. Now, what that means is, I mean, we are a one of three big conglomerate record labels. I don't know if any of you know the other ones, but they are Sony, yeah, Sony Music, that's us, Warner Music, and Universal. So three big companies that make up the major music landscape. And we'll go through the structure of the company in a few slides' time, but we are home to labels such as Columbia Records, RCA Records, Ministry of Sound, Relentless, Insanity, and Robots and Humans, and other ones as well that come into that. We operate in over 60 different countries, so we've got lots of different office locations across the world. Some big, some very tiny, but yeah, we've got some amazing offices across the world. And as a company, we represent a huge range of artists in different countries and different genres as well. So some names that you might recognize: Beyonce, Tyler the Creator, Harry Styles, Pink, Central C, and then also, of course, the old legends like Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, and AC/DC, and so many more. The list is never ending. A fun fact is that Columbia Records is actually the oldest record label in the world. So the first of its kind, starting out in 1887, and they're still running today. Um, and within Sony Music, we've got loads of different teams. And again, I'll run through that in just a second, but they make up lots of different types of jobs. So there's a place for everyone at Sony Music, regardless of what your skill set is and what you feel like is the, I guess, the makeup of the music industry. I think people have a misconception that you have to be able to play instruments or sing or understand music theory, when actually, no, if you have a passion for things like digital marketing, or um, I guess sync, which is the mix of film and TV and music, or you love brands, like there's a place for you. But also, if you love maths, there's a finance team, and actually, it's huge. It's probably the biggest team in the whole company is our finance function and our finance division. So you're able to combine those different passions and skills um, when moving on to a um, a role at Sony. Next slide, please, Elijah. So I've got a little video here. Just wanted to show you what it's like to work for Sony Music. So you'll hear from some of our employees across the business, across the world, and hopefully give you a bit of a taster of what it's like.
Let me know if you can hear it, Charlotte, please.
Will do. It's always tricky. Can't hear it, Elijah. Hmm. You can always come back to it. Can't hear it still.
That's strange. 'Cause
I
it's
can always
coming.
try and share my screen and see if it works on my side.
Yeah, sure.
Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see.
To come in every day and to have a team in place that are inspiring and they push you to be your best is just fantastic.
Everyone has such diverse skill sets. My role is slightly behind the scenes, but that suits my personality, and I think music has had an image of maybe being an extrovert and being always front of camera, but there's so many people contributing to an artist's success.
Every day you come in and it's a new experience. You're around inspiring and energizing people. You're in an environment that allows you to be at your best and to contribute.
I feel that we are making history in many ways, and we're cementing what the future is going to be like. And I love to be a part of that.
Sony Music is a space for your talent. You just need to know and be informed about where exactly your talent would be most useful. But you legitimately can make use of your talent and contribute to the process of making music.
You get a chance to work with such a diverse group of people. You're working with creatives, you're working with people who are in finance, you're working with very different people across different areas, and you have to remain curious.
We have the opportunity to be at the forefront of shaping the music industry, working with iconic artists and being part of a global community that is constantly pushing boundaries and fostering creativity.
In Sony Music, treasuring what the artist can provide is very important for me because we are music lovers.
There are so many people that have years of experience, 30 years, 25 years working there, and they teach you and they give you the opportunity to fly, to think out of the box, to be creative, to reach your dreams.
I feel that also our president, our VPs, our managers, many people in the company have these high standards and they are very good at motivating us to give our best in everything we do.
I feel like here at Sony Music, we make sure that every project we're working on with our artists is perfect and is exactly how they want it.
We are an artist-first company where we care so much about art because it's not just what we're listening to, it's what heals us, it's what heals people.
And we have a duty to support other people, and I think that's the most value that I get out of working here.
Love that. That's good.
Oh, we don't want to watch it again. I think it's always nice to be able to hear from the actual people that make up the company. So yeah, that's just a little taster of how people feel about working for Sony Music. So the record label setup, just wanted to talk about what a record label actually does, because it can be confusing if you've never come across it before. If you have never looked into it before. I mean, before I started at Sony Music, it was like, okay, you hear music on the radio, it goes into the charts, and there you go, hey presto. But actually, there is a huge operation going on behind the scenes to make an artist successful, which includes all of these things on this list. So first of all, artist signing and development is a really key part of what we do. It's almost like the central part of the label. Of course, we need the talent in order to be a success as a company. So we'll sign the artist, and what signing means is they will sign a record deal. And those deals vary depending on what artist it is and what they agree on. But that will essentially be their starting of the journey within a major record label. And I guess within a major label setting, the reason we're called a major record label is because we have got the financial backing for artists to achieve their vision. We're able to promote artists globally because of the operation that we have globally, and help artists achieve those goals that they set out. The journey of music, everyone at a major record label will support the creation and production of the music from the beginning to the end, from before the song is even written to a year, 2 years, even 20 years after the song is released. So that creation and production of the music starts at the very beginning. And when we have that product, the song or the album release, the teams then work on creative campaigns to promote them to different audiences. So it might not be that the artist wants to go global or isn't quite ready yet, but it might be that they, the audience is the UK, or a certain country that they want to target, depending on what audience has been highlighted as important for that artist. So those creative campaigns are a big part of what a kind of label does, alongside creating the music and signing the artists. I'd say that marketing teams are kind of the biggest part of a label setup, because they are project managers, let's say, of the release. We'll also distribute the music to streaming platforms, platforms like, I don't know if you use Spotify or Apple Music, or Deezer or YouTube Music, things like that. There's so many different platforms that all of the music gets distributed to. We also have teams that promote them on radio, TV, on playlists as well. So when you're listening to your music in your headphones on Spotify or Apple Music, and you hear something new, there's usually a team behind that making sure that you hear that track because of the other things that you like to listen to. And of course, artists have to get paid, so there's a team that makes sure that happen, to make sure that I guess the cog keeps turning within the label, and everybody's happy. So making sure that those artists get paid properly through royalties based on what has been agreed on their deal. We have got legal teams as well, so we handle the legal affairs when it comes to signing contracts, but also anything else that comes up within an artist's journey, release, whatever that might be. We have lawyers on hand that look after our artists specifically. And of course, when it comes to the artist plan and the long-term career strategy, that's what I guess who are a part of our label, that's the experts. That's what they're there for, is to support and advise on that long-term career strategy, and work out how we're going to get there. So lots of different things. I'm sure there's loads of stuff missing off of this list, but I've tried to condense it to give a clear picture on, okay, why would an artist sign with a major record label? Just wanted to point out some Sony Music artists as well. So just flicking through, you might recognize some, maybe some are new. You can obviously go to the website and check these out. Jade is a huge one at the moment. Joy Crooks as well. Miles Smith, Perry, Tom Grennan, Tate McRae, Zara Larson, all the people in the charts. So yeah, that might help you as well with the quiz that we did at the beginning. So keep an eye on those artists. So wanted to talk to you about the structure of Sony Music, because from the outside, it's like, how does it all work? Is it a load of people running around after artists doing this, that, and the other? It's actually a very well-oiled machine. So to give you a clear understanding of how we're set up as a company, I like to think about it as like an umbrella. So Sony Music Entertainment is the umbrella, and looks after all of these different teams within it. So you'll see underneath Sony Music Entertainment, we've got all the different specific record labels that we have under our business. So the ones that we talked about at the beginning: RCA, Columbia, Epic Records, Ministry of Sound, Relentless, Since 93, Robots and Humans, and we've had many come and go over the years as well. So I guess RCA and Columbia are our biggest ones. And then Ministry of Sound, Epic, Relentless, and Since 93, as well as Robots and Humans, are kind of smaller but still huge staples within Sony Music. Now, underneath those labels, so each label within Sony will have its own roster of artists, and those artists will sign specifically to that label. So if I am Charlotte Tyndall, I'm about to sign a record deal with Sony Music Entertainment, I will sign a record deal with one of these specific labels, because that will mean that I am on their roster. And each label has their own specific team, which are the red dots underneath the label. And I've put marketing, A&R, and promotions in those dots because they are the key teams that make up those labels. That's not to say that there aren't other teams that come into that, but they're the kind of key teams or key types of jobs, let's say, that come under a record label and make everything come together. So marketing is usually the biggest one, including digital marketing as well. So that's a huge part of what a record label does. A&R are the people that sign the artists and look after them, of course, through their creative journey. And they are, I'd say they're not as big as the marketing department, but still, I guess, very solid and very important to the label. And then the promotions teams are the people that then push out the music that we have released to lots of different I guess media outlets, media platforms. It might be playlists, radio, TV. So when you are watching Jonathan Ross or watching Graham Norton and you've got a sofa full of superstars, there'll be somebody putting that artist on that sofa and making that conversation happen. So some really interesting job roles that come within a record label. And like I say, these teams definitely plug into other teams that I'll come on to later to kind of make the campaign come to life. And just a little segue into the next webinar, which we'll kind of touch on at the end. That's going to be all about diving into the ins and outs of what jobs can you actually do in the music industry. So don't worry too much about knowing exactly what each of these jobs are. We'll go into that in the next webinar. So underneath those red dots, you can see Commercial Music Group, and they are our catalogue team. So catalogue is, I'd say, basically the backbone of the record labels, the major record label. If you think about every single release that's ever come out of Sony Music or any other major label, it goes into the catalogue team after anything after 42 months. I believe that's correct. And then, so you can have young catalogue. So catalogue doesn't always have to mean old music. It can, of course, mean old music because it can be the legends, the legacy artists that we have, but it can also be very recent artists with releases that are just a little bit older than 42 months, which I think is about 4 years. So they are a huge revenue driver for our business, the catalogue team, because they have to make money out of all the music that's come before. So they have to think of new ways to market that music. And of course, that music will always continue making money for the business. So that's really fun. If you love all kinds of different genres and different types of music, including pop music, recent music, but also, you know, old music, whether that be old school hip hop or Motown or noughties like pop or Britpop, whatever it might be. If you're eclectic in your music taste, the Commercial Music Group is a place for you. It's really fun. And then underneath that, we have got what we call central teams. So these central teams will service everyone above. So they will support the catalogue team, they will support all of the individual labels. So they're not attached to a specific roster of artists. And these different teams span across different things. So you've got international marketing, you've got creative teams like, you know, the people that create the photo shoots and video shoots for either music videos or artwork. You've got graphic design teams, you've got a sync department, I mentioned that earlier, and that's all about the people that get our artists' music into film and TV, or adverts, or Netflix series, or games, things like that, which is really cool. So if you've got passion for, films as well as music, or games as well as music, then Sync's really great to kind of look into and start researching. Um, Analytics, that is a huge part of our business. We have to back up every decision we make creatively with data. So analytics is a huge part of our business, as is audience development. And audience development is basically understanding the people that listen to the music. So understanding why, why people listen to a certain artists, and what other artists will that person like to listen to, and what can we help them discover. Or it can be, what kind of social media content does this person like to watch, what can we push their way, or what can we create for our artists that will appeal to that audience. So that is really interesting, and I think with the growing digital landscape, a very important part of our business, if you're interested in looking into the music industry, audience development is crucial. We also have a podcasting team that release lots of different podcasts, a finance department, a HR department, which is where I sit. So if you love working with people, then there's a place for you too. Digital media, so that's like digital advertising. So if you're scrolling on your phone and you see an advert come up for a gig or for an album release, that will be the digital media team putting that advert in there, so you can discover that through social media. And then finally, digital partnerships, which is all the people that work with our digital service providers. So the Spotify's, the Apple Musics, making sure that we have got the best opportunities for our artists. That's very much what they're responsible for. So all of those central teams support every single artist on the roster, so they're not tied to anyone specifically. So I hope that makes sense, and it can be clearly kind of pictured from here. I guess if you wanted to work in music and you had a particular favor for a specific genre, for example, Ministry of Sound, that is our kind of like heritage dance music label. If you love dance music and you want to work in one of the teams underneath, then you would probably aim for, working in that label specifically, and waiting for an opportunity that works for you to come up. So yeah, I think it's good to have that kind of bird's eye view of the structure. Wanted to touch on an album release timeline as well. So if you think about what these teams are working on day in, day out, it can be album releases, it can be single releases, but for this purpose, I'm going to go through an album release timeline. Again, from a bird's eye view, there's a few different parts to it, and these kind of like bullet points within the different sections, of course they will differ depending on the artist as well, depending on what the artist's vision is, but this is a very general overview of what it looks like. So at the very beginning of the process, you'll have the creation and planning. So creating the music is of course the most important thing. You can't do anything without the music. And that might be, they have the music already. They could be creating the music as we speak. They could have been, signed as a development act, so they don't have any releases at the moment, but they're working towards that. So again, it really does vary depending on the artist. The teams will support in making sure that the recording is complete, the mixing and mastering is done, and they'll develop the album concept, the vision, the branding as well that will go alongside it. With all of those ideas, they'll set the budget. They'll make sure they've got a clear release date in the diary as well, and then the marketing strategy that goes alongside all of that in the diary. Obviously, timelines always kind of shift and move, but when you have that release date in the diary, that's always the aim and the goal to go for. Other things that will come into it are things like features, videos, partnerships, And then a lot of research goes into understanding the audience, understanding the artist's audience and what they want to see, and if we can tap into any other other audiences that haven't discovered that particular artist yet. So that all of that planning will go into the next phase, which is the pre-launch. Sometimes artists release singles from their album to drum up a little bit of excitement. They'll get the music out there. So with the singles that they've released, they'll, begin pitching for playlists and press as well. So interviews in magazines to talk about their upcoming release. Social campaigns, of course, any kind of content that you see online from an artist that is signed to a major record label, probably have kind of come up with that social plan with the digital marketing team. So they'll work across that. Any brand deals, so any opportunities to then extend that audience with any other brands and collaborate there will be a part of the pre-launch. And then they will announce everything as well, so the release date and artwork and title, things like that. And then continue with those interviews, photo shoots, and just general fan engagement, just continue building that momentum towards the launch. And that's when, of course, the artist will drop the album on the release date, hopefully, if the timeline hasn't changed. I guess during the launch, when it comes to marketing and promotions, they'll continue with the plan that's been set out, whether that's social marketing or out of home marketing. It could be things like pop-ups, the pop-up activations to involve fans and continue to drum up that noise of the release. And then also sometimes a big music video gets released, which continues the craze. But that's a good point as well. When the launch has happened, you've got the marketing and promotion. So if you see these artists across TV and radio, so if you hear them on Radio 1, it's usually been set up for that specific time so they can talk about their release and hopefully drive people to go and listen to it. So it doesn't stop there. Post-release does continue on the promotion with videos and remixes, but then also the social media will continue, keep building that fan engagement. If there's any kind of tour plans, that's when that comes into play. And things like awards, like if they're going to go for a Brit Award, that will be post-release, being awarded for that body of work. And like I say, sync opportunities come after the release. So any kind of opportunities for music to go into films, TVs, games, that's when that comes to the post-release plan. And then, of course, the catalogue department after 42 months will take care of the release and continue to promote it when things like trends come up. I don't know if any of you are on TikTok, but sometimes when you have a viral video, you'll get a song that's being played with that viral video, or like a trend that you jump on and use that specific, not video, the track. And that is, something that does happen organically, but then the catalogue team will spot that and make the most out of that opportunity as well. So what else can we do with this trend to keep blowing up the song or the release? So loads of different things that go into a release timeline. And like I say, this is a very high level view. There are lots of different people that are responsible for different things. So again, we can dive a bit deeper into the different roles and the job opportunities that come into this sort of thing in the next webinar. I know I've been talking a lot, but I hope this has been useful. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. I did want to touch on things like industry challenges. I guess there's a few things within the industry at the moment we've always had music industry challenges, and now more than ever, I think that it's continuously changing all the time. So a huge skill that we look for when recruiting in the music industry. It's like the ability to adapt and change and move with change, because that is always inevitable in the music industry. I guess with the change in technology, AI, and copyright of recent times, that can be a huge challenge for people to work out and navigate, which makes it, going into the last point, long-term planning can be a lot harder, because we don't really, know what the next 5, 10 years are going to look like. Um, I guess another challenge that comes into it is market saturation. The last time I heard this stat, it was a while ago, so it's probably even higher now, but I think there were like 40,000 songs uploaded to Spotify every single day. And that is crazy. If you think back to, 20 years ago, before Spotify or streaming platforms were a thing, it was all about what you hear in on the radio or what you see on the TV. And that's how kind of, the artist would succeed. But now you've got so much music to discover. The competition is massive. So that's always a challenge, and it will always continue to grow to be a challenge. Um, we've got an evolving streaming era as well. Over the years, things have definitely changed. Like I say, when I was young, it was CDs, and then it turned into illegal downloads, and then it turned into streaming. And I suppose streaming now, everybody's got a streaming platform or an account, but I think even now it's starting to change, it's starting to decline. So it's all about like, what is next for music and streaming. How do people consume their music? Which then goes on to the kind of the fourth box here. It's like constant change in consumer behavior. People are always changing how they listen to music and how they consume music. So we have to stay on top of that all the time. And of course, constant change in the digital landscape as well. So, with different platforms that come up, I think TikTok really only took off about 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's like the huge, it's so dominant within the industry. Who knows what is going to come next? And there are new technologies always popping up. Here, there, and everywhere. And of course, going back to the first point, the rise of AI is a forever looming challenge that everybody just tries to move with and work with rather than kind of go against. So there's some key challenges that I foresee in the industry. I think, there's always been lots of challenges within the industry, so don't let this put you off, don't let this scare you. It's important that you understand what it's like in the industry, and that a way to succeed in the business is to be aware and think about how you can do things differently and how you can stay ahead of the change. um so yeah, that is the challenges that I would say. Quick, get off. They're the answers. So we've come to the end. I've got the answers to the quiz, which we'll go through now. I'm just looking at the time. Have we got some questions to go through as well, Elijah? I'll whiz through the answers to the quiz now. So, number one, Cat Burns. Have you got that? Big well done. AC/DC, number two. Britney Spears, number three. The Chainsmokers, number four. Diplo, number five. Heady One, number six. Is that six? Yeah. London Grammar. Thames, just because this is missing the Thames River. These are all rivers. Vampire Weekend, Pink, and Adele. I'd love to know what everybody got. Please be honest in the chat. If you got all of them right, then I will send you a prize.
Adele's tricky.
It
That's
is
what's good to
tricky.
that.
It is very
Adele.
tricky. Because you can't really see, but it does say Dell on the computer. So there we go.
Yeah, that is
Fab.
tricky.
So just to take a moment to talk about the next webinar, we're going to be diving into jobs and opportunities in the music industry. Today was a very high level view of what a major record label looks like, what it does. So hopefully that was interesting for you and you can go away and continue your research. So if it is something that you want to learn more about, just keep Googling, keep researching, think about the different areas of music that you could potentially see yourself within. And if you are at school at the moment or you're a school leaver, you are in a great position because you are so early on in your journey. It takes a long time for you to learn exactly what everything is. It took me a long time. I didn't really know until I worked at Sony Music. So hopefully this has been helpful and I'd love to answer some of your questions as well.
Thank you, Charlotte. So we do have a couple of good questions. Gemma has kindly answered a couple of them
Yeah.
in the Q&A box. Also, Charlotte, if it's okay, I'm going to share my screen quickly.
Yeah, please.
Just so that everyone can have access to the QR code, so that we can get some feedback to basically improve the session for our next two that we've got coming up. So it's not just one. This is part of a series. So there'll also be another session kind of around National Apprenticeship Week in February, where we'll actually have it will correct me if I'm wrong, Charlotte, it will be primarily focused on getting your questions answered. So don't worry if your questions aren't answered today, or you've still got loads of burning questions. We will have a session purely just to answer your questions, bit of a panel. So yeah, right. First question. I'm curious about how a record deal works. Like, how are the contracts formatted? Like, how are the percentage deals, straight cash, and requirements from the artist, as well as how is it required comparison to shelf publishing? I mean, a lot of detail there. I mean, I think we can. I don't want to go into dissecting it too much, but top level, could you maybe?
I can try my best. I don't sign or support with the artist record deals, so I can just give you my thoughts and opinions. So it really does differ depending on the artist that you're signing. So like the percentage deals and cash requirements, I'm not too sure how that works. And of course, people can self promote, I guess, without a label. That's absolutely up to them. I guess the difference with a record label is that they've got a little bit more power to be able to promote your music further than perhaps you have got. And there's different there's different types of labels as well. So it's not just like a major label setup. There's indie labels. There's also things called artist services companies. So if you're an artist and you want to know the basics of marketing yourself, there are companies that you can reach out to and they can help you get started in that area. So so I don't know loads about the contract signing process. Apologies, Josh. But I will, I think you can definitely find out online to see like how they might differ as well.
Awesome. So next question. Are there multiple places Sony Music is based throughout the UK, and where would those places be?
So we have one office in King's Cross in London. So that's our only UK location, which is a shame. Of course, I'd love to have multiple up and down the country. But we, of course, like I say, have 60 locations plus across the world. So yeah, we tend to only have one in each country, unless it is in the US, and there's a few there. I think there's one in New York, there's one in LA, there's one in Nashville as well. So because it's so huge and the music industry is massive there.
Is a music degree at university worth it?
Great question. It depends what you want out of it. It really depends. Like I studied production at uni. Of course, I don't do that now, but it gave me a taster into the industry. It allowed me to connect with loads of great people that I am still connected with today. So it was definitely worth it for me. you don't need to have studied music to be in the music industry. I think it's if you are studying something specific when it comes to, and we will get into this in the next session, if you're studying something specific that you need a degree for, like law, for example, or finance, or you can just do a marketing degree and specialize within the music space if you wanted to do that, if marketing was the aim. But you can also do music business, that is a broader degree when it comes to all areas of the music industry. And I think within those courses, you can specialize in, say, if it's events you wanted to do, or if it's live, or if it's the kind of label side, you can kind of choose to go down that way. But like I say, I have hired people who have got music degrees. I've hired lots of people without a degree that have just gained their own experience. And you can do that through internships or work experience, but also just creating opportunities yourself. I know we spoke about that quite a lot in the podcast. So if you haven't seen that, do check it out, and that will hopefully give you a good place to start. But I cannot advise you either way if you're going to go to university or not. It does not hinder you, and it does, of course, help you in so many different ways. But it's not an essential part of working in music unless you're in those specialised areas that I mentioned.
Thank you, Charlotte. I think we'll go for one more. Sorry,
Cool.
everyone, that we haven't been able to get to all your questions, but I promise you, if you listen to the podcast, you come to the next two sessions that we've got coming up, your question will 99.9% be answered, the likelihood. So last one I'm going to go for is, are there summer internship or work shadowing opportunities?
So in terms of summer internships, we only have year-long programs. So that is something that you would have to do as a full-time job. You don't have to have been to university for those, so they're not grad schemes. And they are, 12 months long. So you apply and then you're in that role for 12 months. We don't necessarily have any work shadowing opportunities or work experience at the moment. It's a little bit tricky to kind of make that happen, but there are opportunities within the music industry that you can definitely get involved in. It just means that at Sony Music we haven't got those kind of shorter term placements, but you can definitely try and get some work shadowing opportunities in other companies, maybe smaller indie labels or other artist companies. We've got management companies, you've got live companies, you've got PR, you've got influencer agencies, creative agencies. So like all these different areas that service the music industry or a label, you can kind of cut your teeth in and get some experience there.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap up there because I know you're getting off to do something very exciting now as well. So
Well, it's been a pleasure. I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope it's given spark some interest, I guess, for the next two webinars. So hopefully you'll join us on those, because they're going to be really good ones. And the next one, it won't just be me. You'll get to actually meet other people more interesting than me, talking about their jobs and what they do at Sony Music.
thank you, Charlotte. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Please do fill in the feedback form because it will actually help us make next session better, because we want it to be iterative and be informative for you guys. So yeah, thank you for joining and for taking the time this evening. And yeah, have a good rest of your evenings.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.